the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss, Pauly Howard. We are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. This show is brought to you by DraftKings. We are loaded today. Great show coming up over the next 3 hours, including Matt Youmans in 45 minutes, VSiN host. He has a chance to make a lot of money this weekend in one of the contests out here in town. He'll explain how when he pops on with us coming up at that time. Yesterday's 2 playoff games in college football, the best 2 playoff games we've ever had in a single year of this playoff, Pauly, because normally, as we pointed out yesterday, we get at least 1 blowout, if not 2. Did not happen. Both games were super dramatic and entertaining. I'm not going to call them both well played, but the game last night, late last night, that got over well beyond midnight on the East Coast, goes to Washington as they took out Texas 37-31 as that number came down throughout the day, but we'll call it like a 3.5-point dog in the game, won it outright. And I call it disrespect. Call it, people just not believing in this team, the 1-score wins that they've had the entire time. Mm-hmm. They're a really good football team, and they have a dude at quarterback who we've been talking about for 2 years on this show that we couldn't love anymore if we tried, Michael Penix. We'll get to that in a second. If Caleb DeBoer blew that game last night from a coaching standpoint, that is Packers-Seahawks NFC title game with Mike McCarthy bad. That's Falcons blowing a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl to the Patriots bad, and the only way that he would ever live that down would be to get Washington back to the playoff, and not only win a playoff game, he'd have to win the national title. That's 37-31 after Texas did the right thing by kicking the field goal. Onside kick did not work. Washington recovered. Texas 44-yard line. Longhorns have 2 timeouts left. There's 1:06 to go on the clock. They had to punt with 50 seconds left. I'm losing my mind at home watching the game.
Yep.
Losing my mind. Why are you running the football? And eventually, your star running back, Dylan Johnson, gets hurt. The stoppage of the clock coming up here in a second as well. But also, you should have been kicking the ball back with maybe 10, 15 seconds to go on the clock, and that's it. That's the ball game.
Well, that's a bad rule, but yeah, you just have to take the knee. But also, it's why you have to take the knee, because why does the clock stop when Johnson gets hurt on offense? But the game was over. There's less than 15 seconds. How about throwing the ball on 3rd down, the previous drive in the red zone, and you don't make Texas take another timeout? That's another one. That was going to haunt him the rest of his coaching career and his life.
Yep.
If they blow that game. Not to mention, on the punt, you get the 15-yard penalty. Get away from the guy with the fair catch interference. So that happened. And then you come out and you have single coverage. I don't know why. And Texas gets the ball at the 28-yard line on the long pass down the sideline. Mm-hmm. That's another one. That just 4 stupid things there where if you just take a knee, worst case, Texas has to go probably 80, 85 yards with 15 seconds. Mm-hmm. Ridiculous. And it was, what you said earlier, though, it seems it's fitting and appropriate that the Pac-12 is going to win the national title with a team that's won 10 in a row, all wins fewer by 10 points, and now the Pac-12 is going to cease to exist and it's all over. And this is just incredible coaching job and what he's done with this program. And some people have the 100-to-1 tickets as well. I also could not believe that people in this space, and the East Coast bias is real, about, boy, this is the first, I haven't really seen much of Washington this year. This Penix is good. No wonder he couldn't win the Heisman.
Yeah, no kidding.
And no wonder why these guys can't win Heisman trophies, and the disrespect of this conference year in, year out. I couldn't believe that. People who supposedly cover the sport, oh boy, I haven't seen a lot of Penix this year. This guy's fantastic.
Yeah, we've only been talking about him on this show for 2 years after he played the game on Labor Day against Kent State last year. We're like, uh-oh, this guy is absolutely for real. And I watched him at Indiana as well. Something just clicked with this guy when he went to Washington, and he was good at Indiana on top of it, but not like this. And I know people were pointing out last night that maybe him getting hurt with the knee a few years back is the reason why it's made him a better quarterback, because he doesn't want to run so often. But, I mean, he's dropping bows on everybody. I mean, he's letting you know that as well. He has the best deep ball since Joe Burrow.
Jeff Blake?
Well, I mean, Burrow was unbelievable.
Jeff Blake really had some.
He had an incredible
in terms of the hang time, and that was
Warren Moon.
Yeah,
those pretty. Yeah, okay. So
he just got a howitzer for an arm too.
Every single pass, it doesn't matter if he's throwing a 15-yard out or like a 50-yard bomb. It's like a laser beam that has pinpoint dart-like accuracy. And for some reason, well, because probably they have so many talented wide receivers, at least one guy is going to be isolated one-on-one. His receivers are awesome. And they've been doing this for 2 years now. And you're right, great point. No wonder why that guy can't win the Heisman Trophy. Again, tell me a team anywhere else in the country that's going to be on a 14-0 with a record of that, playing for the national title, putting up his numbers. Would that ever happen to an SEC quarterback?
Never.
Never. Not Big Ten? Probably not a chance on earth.
And guess what? They can play the disrespect card one more time. 14-0, won the best conference in college football. All they do is win. It's hard to go undefeated, even ask Georgia. And here they are. They're underdogs again against Michigan, and they love it. 21 straight wins for Washington. It's been 2 years since they lost a game by more than one score. DeBoer in his coaching career is 104-11. Maybe the Chargers should hire this guy and not Harbaugh. But this is what a story, how Washington is in a position to do this again and maybe not do it for the first time since 91. But you're right. The kid from Gorman here, Las Vegas, Odunze.
Yeah.
I mean, how good is this guy? So, I mean, all this talk about Williams, May, Daniels, Harrison. How about these two guys? And I was unaware of this story too, but the Softy Mallard, the guy talk show host in Seattle, in the win against Arizona, he had a punctured lung and cracked ribs. His family had to drive him home back because he couldn't fly with the team. And in the next game, Odunze lit up Oregon for 2 touchdowns. In the following game, after what happened to him. I mean, this guy is just, I mean, it's unreal how good they are. And then here's Penix throwing for 400 yards in the win.
So I will tell you this. You brought that up. The other quarterbacks that are going to be eligible to come out in the first round of the draft. I've been looking at draft props for a long, long time for this upcoming April. And the reason why is because I love Penix so much, I wanted to take him number 1 overall at long odds. But then when you do some dive, a deep dive into this and what people are saying, teams are going to hold 2 things against him. And I would not recommend taking Michael Penix for the first overall pick in the draft. I love him. He might be better than all these guys. Doesn't matter. The reason why teams will hold his medical history against him, the injuries, and also his age. And those are going to be 2 things that are going to be just he can't help at this point, and he's probably not going to be able to overcome that for the number 1 pick in the draft.
Well, we want to take a guy number 1 who's 5'9", 5'10", and has to jump when he throws the ball?
Sure.
Okay, so everything you said, and it was been a horrific loss. It would have haunted DeBoer the rest of his career. How about what Texas did once they get inside the 15? What was the play on first down? What was that swing pass?
You got a minute to think about this here. On first and 10 from the 15-yard line, you throw a swing pass that goes out of bounds basically at the line of scrimmage.
Okay, and now you're throwing jump balls the rest of the other plays.
That's exactly right.
Low percentage. And a great job on 4th down by the Washington kid to just jump up and knock it away, too.
Get that out of here.
So that was, they almost blew it. And they did no business losing that game. But there's some questionable coaching decisions both there.
Here's the crazy thing. Now, Michigan has to be a favorite in this game. They opened up 3.5 last night. It's been bet up a little bit. I mean,
Why though?
Well, because if Texas was favored over them, Michigan has a higher power rating than Texas, so Michigan's probably going to come out. Although you have to adjust Washington as well. I will say this for Washington.
Go
Dogs both times against Oregon. Sure. I was at both games.
10-point dog, right?
They maybe got lucky. They got lucky a little bit the first game at home.
I'll give you that.
The second game, Oregon was lucky to get back into the game. Yep. I thought Washington was clearly the right side as a 10-point dog. Won it
20-3.
Yep. And then who was the better side last night? It was Washington, period, end of story.
Yep.
And they were, the whole time catching 4.5, 4, closed a little bit shorter than that last night. But the entire game last night, I'm watching, I'm like, this team's not going to lose. Until DeBoer almost blew it.
Right.
Until he almost gave the game away.
Right.
Lost his mind.
Right. Well, there was bad luck there. Silly rule. But I understand what you're saying.
The point is, they're better than Texas. That's not a fluke last night.
No.
They got the better quarterback, probably the better coach. They have better playmakers. They got a better offensive line, and yet somehow, some way, it's every single game. Yep. Hey, look at this monster dog again.
Well, both games. What got Texas back in the game? The fumbled punt.
Yeah.
It's to the point now.
He's running up. I'll grab it.
Oh, terrible.
Like, what are you doing?
It's to the point now I'm rushing 11, and I'm not even going to put a guy back there. I don't care. between the fumbles on the punt. Imagine if Michigan lost the game like that. Between the fumbled punts and there's a block in the back on every return anyways. The hell with it. I'm not even going to put a guy back there. It's not even worth it.
Yep.
So it's a great national title game. We're SEC free, and we also have, the physical Michigan team that sacked Bama 6 times and had 10 tackles for loss, and we're going to ground and smash mouth football against this Washington team that I'm going to sling it and throw for 400 yards on you, and here comes the aerial assault. Right. What are you going to do about it? It's a great matchup Monday.
Yeah. What is the Michigan game plan if somehow Washington's offensive line cannot allow Penix to get pressured? Like if they don't get the heat on.
Okay.
I'm saying
I think it's going to be quick passes.
Yeah.
Though.
If Michigan doesn't get heat on Penix.
I know he's taken a lot of heat, and I love the story. And Sean McDonough did a great job talking about it. He's living in his sister's basement, cement shop, pouring cement. But Washington fans have been all over Ryan Grubb at times this year. But I think he'll be ready, and there's a reason Saban wanted him, and I think he'll have something drawn up and ready to go and be creative and take this 6 days to get ready for it.
I'll go back to the conference title games for 1 second. Had Georgia not lost to Alabama, yesterday's Rose Bowl would have been Michigan and Washington, and we would have had Georgia, Texas, in the Sugar Bowl last night.
Yeah.
So the Rose Bowl would have been already played between these two teams. Now we get it for the national title.
Good action. I don't know about the game ending at 1 o'clock on the East Coast.
Yeah.
We have to look at this, but 2 great games, and what a way to send it out. Now we go to a 12-team playoff.
Yeah, we'll get into the Rose Bowl from yesterday, Michigan and Alabama, and I was surprised to see this after the game last night. It's Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
If you're looking for a betting edge, the VSiN experts have you covered. Get the intro offer for $9.99, the recap of every play from every host and guest, and the betting splits. Let you see where the money and bets are moving every game. Limited time offer, VSiN.com/subscribe, and get the preview for the national title game Monday night. 4:30 start Pacific time. How about that? $9.99, become part of the team. VSiN.com/subscribe.
So the Rose Bowl was not a well-played game yesterday, although it was a defensive battle. I thought it was super dramatic, very intense, entertaining, and then it comes down to overtime, where, by the way, Blake Corum went over his rushing yards prop in overtime on both those rushes.
I had the under.
Oh, you did?
Brutal. Oh, it's a tough way to lose a bet.
That was a bad way to begin the year for me. Alabama going down, and I had them tied into several tickets moving forward. And, the way that played out, I tweeted this out last night. I thought both teams were the wrong side because Michigan should have had a big lead, I thought, in the first half, or they were clearly the better side, and then did absolutely nothing in the second half. Here are their drives to begin the second half. 21 yards, 3 minutes, 51 seconds, punt. 2 yards, 57 seconds, punt. 1 yard, 58 seconds, punt. Then after the Milroe fumble, they picked up 20 yards, had the ball for 217, missed field goal. And then when they got it back and they had to put something together, 8 plays, 75 yards, 3:07 off the clock, and a touchdown. In total, they had 44 yards, approximately 8 minutes time of possession, 3 punts and 1 missed field goal before the touchdown drive. They picked up a 4th and 2 at their own 40. Harbaugh had to go for it.
That was enormous.
Had to, and then they had the receiver who was wide open. And because of that, they went 50 yards in the next 4 plays, scored the touchdown, and then won in overtime. Total coin flip game, and got me good with Alabama losing yesterday.
That's why I was jumping in play. I didn't think they were able to go down the length of the field and get that touchdown based on what was going on in the second half. Alabama gets 1 stop. It's over. It's 4th and 2. The blown coverage there and the blown assignment. But certainly you have to be sound in all 3 phases. And that's another one. Michigan's going to be kicking themselves if they lose that game. Mm-hmm. The fumbled punt. What are you doing? Not once, but twice. And then the missed extra point, the missed field goal. Come on, guys, clean it up. And then McCarthy almost starts the game with an interception. Where are you throwing the ball? They catch the break there. But certainly how it flipped, where you are right, Michigan should have had a big lead at halftime. And that wasn't the case. And then Alabama gets 1 stop, it's over. But McCarthy and Michigan, I mean, you had problems even completing a pass and getting a first down there. Or I don't know if he was throwing it too hard or what, the drop passes, but guys are open and they can't get the first down. One guy's open, he falls down, and he's going to get the first down, But certainly what they did and how physical they were in blowing Alabama off the line of scrimmage early on. And as I mentioned, 6 sacks and 10 tackles for loss. That was unfortunate how bad they were in the second half. But then they make all the plays down the stretch and get it done and come up with the big goal line stand in overtime.
That was a very sloppy field yesterday in Pasadena. Guys, including Milroe, especially Milroe, slipping all over the place. I was surprised Michigan tried 2 different trick plays in the game. One was the botch toss and the flea flicker back to McCarthy where he had to jump on the ball. The other one was on the double pass or the double lateral where he had to make a spinning one-handed catch to come out and then turn into a huge gain. I'm like, okay, it's not my day today. Also, you mentioned right away in the game, first pass, picked off, kid steps out of bounds. Now that they made up for that because the kid muffed the punt and then Alabama scored, so I guess those things kind of equal each other out. They missed the call on the running into the punter.
I didn't have a problem with that.
Oh, it's clearly a flag.
I thought that was a Bobby De Niro job. I really thought the guy tried to sell it.
The guy, you can't do that, Paul. You can't run into the kicker and knock him over like that. It's an automatic first down for Alabama. They missed that. And by the way, you have one job. You're looking at that exact spot on the field. They missed it somehow. The massive gain on the double pass, just the back-to-back mishandled snaps to start the second half with a good drive going, the low snaps, which is, again, why they lost the game in overtime.
Yep.
Third and long deep inside Michigan territory. The Wolverines wide receiver dragged the toe for a first down. And 2:10 to play. Nobody talked about this. The tip pass redirected, caught by Wolverines wide receiver.
Yes.
How does that happen? How is that not picked off or how is that even complete?
Well, it was a great catch. I know.
Yeah.
That was absolutely.
But and on the final play in overtime, now you can watch that from several angles. One, that was supposed to be an RPO. And the tailback who was in motion was going to be wide open on the play. He was going to have one guy to beat to get into the end zone because they had 2 wide receivers blocking defenders on that play. But because it was a low snap, Milroe had to improvise. And because of that happening, and Saban talked about this, we had 2 different plays there. There was a pulling guard who had 5 feet of space easy where Milroe could have crawled into the end zone. And he missed it because it was a low snap. So the low snap, which got them in the regular season, it was kind of a bad deal. They couldn't figure it out. Haunted them last night throughout the game.
I wonder who America was rooting for, because everyone, I'm sure, has SEC and Bama fatigue, and then Michigan became the villains this year with the Stallion stuff and what was going on with the videotaping. I feel good for Harbaugh, though. His first bowl win since 2016. He had to get one of these. I mean, coming up short and time again. And if they would have lost that game, 2 completely different games. You mentioned 13 punts, 8 fumbles, a missed extra point. Both teams were a combined 5 of 24 on third down. But as Saban said after the game, I think it was his best coaching job, but the improvement that they showed was unbelievable. I don't think they were that good. They were awesome against Georgia. They almost lost to South Florida. It was 10-3 with a minute left. They got run out at home by Texas. They almost lost at home to Arkansas. Also, you didn't have these great wide receivers that we've seen year in, year out with Alabama and these stud first-round picks. You can't sit back there and sling it every down with Milroe as well. Kid threw for 100 yards. But a lot of people are upset with Tommy Rees and the play calling. I understand that too. But you also have to look at, and Saban talked about it, about we weren't that good. We really showed improvement, especially after the Texas loss in the South Florida game. But they did it to themselves too. They had these drives going, and then here comes the sack. Here comes the bad snap. I mean, a lot of stuff was self-inflicted, and Alabama beating themselves as well. And they couldn't put Michigan away in the second half.
Again, maybe this was his best coaching job ever for a full season. It was a terrible job last night, and he owned it after the game. And I say that because, again, the whole narrative going in was Saban has a month to prepare. You know what happens in these spots. He dominates his opponents. I mean, these games are typically not close. For a full half last night, for 30 minutes of action, your quarterback was under duress. He was under fire the entire time. He had nowhere to go with the ball. The offensive line could not block, and yet you are running empty backfields with no help, no extra blockers. And you did that for 30 minutes of game action, and you did not realize that was a major problem when the game was being played. And then you saw how they adjusted, and that was no longer a problem in the second half. How do you have the biggest staff in the world, and you spend more money on countless coaches than anybody?
You should be mad at the OC then.
No, that's who I'm mad at.
Okay.
But as a group, collectively, how does Saban not say something to Reese? Or maybe he did. How do they not figure that out on the fly. That was a major issue and why you could not move the football in the first half. And
5 sacks in the first half.
You're getting dominated by Michigan. And I get it. Michigan's awesome up front, both offensively and defensively. But you let that go down for 30 minutes of game time before you could draw something else up in the second half?
Yeah.
You can't make that adjustment on the fly after like the second drive? I was bewildered watching the game. And I'm like, I'm clearly on the wrong side here.
Yeah.
I'm backing a guy. You can't trust anybody in the history of college football more than Nick Saban with this much time to prepare. And it looked like he had an hour to get ready for the game. It's like he was a fighter taking his second fight the same night. So that was really, really bad.
Do you think he'd get pushed around, though? Maybe he didn't expect that. I don't know. I mean, Michigan pushed
fine,
him around
Paul,
for the first half, but that...
But then have a running back in the backfield to help out with the blocking. Have another tight end in.
I also think you're limited in what you can do offensively with Milroe. I mean, you have to run gadget stuff and quarterback draws and that other... I mean, a lot of the stuff they run, he's ad-libbing and just taking off. I mean, that's the type of quarterback.
Also,
I mean, even he talked about it last week. Bill O'Brien said, you're not a quarterback. You should focus on doing something else.
How about they mix in a draw against that pressure?
Okay.
Or how about they mix in a screen pass underneath, and maybe they were taking shots down the field the whole time. That's not who he is. It's not what he's great at.
Yeah.
So
certainly you don't have a Julio Jones, a Ruggs,
no,
a
they don't.
Devontae Smith. I mean, you don't have that this year. All interesting. But that was you could point the finger at Harbaugh too. You know, again, why is the kid back there fielding the punt at his own 5? Why are you calling a timeout?
Yeah.
What was that all about?
Imagine if that ball, he loses the ball and it goes into the end zone, then he picks it up. That's ball game. Alabama wins on a safety.
Yeah.
Or if they hit him and the ball squirts out.
Yes.
So
I'm done with it. I'm done. I'm not putting guys back there. I can't.
Oh, you can't trust any of them.
Guys. No. And the guy comes rushing in right away in the first quarter and he fumbles.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what's your hurry? Maybe just stand back there and let it bounce.
Yeah.
And just get the hell away from it. And it's just you can't lose a national championship that way. And quickly, we'll do more on this coming up. I don't know. I want to see what people think. We'll get to it later. Deciding a national title that way? What are we going to trade 2-point conversions if we kept going? Come on.
Stick by the rules, I guess.
Come on.
I know.
That's a Mickey Mouse overtime.
I know you said in the first segment that, why do they have to be favored by 3.5? I was actually surprised it was 3.5 and not a little bit higher than Texas, because I think if you made it any lower than that, Paul, I think books would have been pounded immediately with Michigan money.
Fine.
Go ahead. Okay. Win-lose coming up next. We'll recap a lot of the betting action that took place yesterday, including some of the other results in bowl games here, and follow the money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Last night? Wow, winning. Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser! Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
All right. Our second overtime game since we had the playoff format. Michigan-Bama to go to OT, 7-1. Michigan to win between 6 and 10 points, plus 575. One prominent media member said LSU-Wisconsin under was the best bet of the year. Oh, boy. 55.5 up to 60. Flies over. Wisconsin should have won the game. Where was that offense all year?
Well, they don't see very many defenses like LSU.
That's true. That is true. Yes. Fantastic game. Wild. LSU wins it. Oregon, 14.5 up to 19. Liberty scores right away. They don't score the rest of the game. Lanning had them ready to go. Cavs Raptors over 224 up to 228. Flew over the total. The Pacers plus 280. Went into Milwaukee and beat the Bucks. A lot of soccer yesterday. Peterborough plus 250 beat Derby County. Millwall plus 270 beat Bristol City. Rotherham, Blackburn draw plus 375. Cardiff City plus 255 beat Queen Park Rangers. Coventry City plus 250 beat Middlesbrough. Subscribe, be part of the team, VSiN.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos. We had the New Year's Day hockey mat game between the Vegas and Seattle. Look at the Golden Knights showing up to the venue dressed as Elvis impersonators. The whole team. Look at this. This is awesome. You see Carlson coming back here, right? And then you see, here comes Mark Stone. They're all dressed up with the wigs and the sunglasses. And they got the, oh my God, that's awesome. Look at that. So that's Vegas showing up, getting ready. There's Mark Stone, got the coffee, right? That's awesome.
Every single player.
Yep, all dressed as Elvis impersonators. And then the Kraken showed up as fishermen. And when they came out, here's the Seattle Kraken. And then when they come out, though, also getting ready for the game, they had the fishermen there, and they were throwing fish back and forth, too. But there's the Seattle Kraken as well. That was nuts. How about a 3-0 final? Kid for Seattle has a shutout. Unbelievable. This is called my guy just enjoying life. Huh? Look, I think that's the French Bulldog. The guy with the right leg up, just tippy-toe, tap, 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 tap. Going on. Yep. They won't stop. I go in, and people love these. I don't know if I'm going to pay 10 grand for a dog, but I can't. I'm all in on French Bulldogs. They are so good.
Eyes are wide open.
Yeah.
He's not sleeping. He's not dreaming there, right?
Look at him, right? Having a good time. And that's our guy, Blue, too.
Yeah.
He's also a French Bulldog. And they are the hottest dog right now. And I go into the doggy daycare, and they're like, yep, here's one, 5,000. It was 7,000. Now, this guy was 8,000. People can't get got enough of these French Bulldogs. And I don't. This ends well. I was a little concerned. Look at this. You got the alligator in the you got the alligator in the water here, and the guy throws it a snack, and then here comes the turtle. And I go, this is not going to end well.
Oh, they're buddies.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I had no idea. The turtle comes in. He goes, I'll let you have that. You're okay.
They're pals, yeah.
Yeah, right. And the turtle gets the snack, and the gator lets him have it. And I thought the turtle would be a snack and another snack on top of it. And the turtle comes in and says, give me that. And he goes, swims on. I didn't know. That guy can move for a turtle?
By the way, look to the left. There's a bunch of turtles hanging out.
That's right. And this guy went rogue. Right. I was surprised.
Oh. They're in cahoots, though, huh? I had no idea that gators and turtles get along this well.
I don't know if that's the case. Certainly here it was, and cooler heads prevailed. That is great to see. Lose some. Thank God this mess is over. Iowa from 7.5 down to 4.5. Oh, boy. And Oregon over 64.5 at the 71.5 against Liberty. So here are the numbers. Iowa played 3 games against ranked teams. They were outscored 85-0. And Iowa did not score a touchdown in the last 163 minutes of Brian Ferentz' tenure as offensive coordinator. If you were going to fire him, why did you just allow him to hang around and finish out the season as well? Nepotism at its worst. Come on, Iowa. Do better.
Now, how about this?
I'm sick of this.
Iowa had not been shut out since the year 2000, and Power 5 teams shut out 3+ times in a season since that year, 2000. Iowa went 10-4 still this year. Every other team on this list, Rutgers 2-10, Rutgers 2-10, Wazoo 2-11, Duke 0-12, Baylor 3-9, Rutgers 2-9, Baylor 2-9.
No, it was a great line. It was Pat Forty and Dan Wetzel on their podcast. Should we give Ferentz an extension or should he be fired?
Yeah.
He wasted an all-time great defense.
Yeah, true.
I mean, you can't be this bad offensively. They got shut out by Tennessee. Opt-outs all over. They can't play defense. Just a joke. And, of course, the Tennessee defense outscores the Iowa offense, too. So bad. And a bad beat, the Michigan-Bama under. At no point was that going over. Mm-hmm. And then the overtime. And what happened. And then, give them credit, the long touchdown drive to make it 20-20. Before you make your next bet, visit VSiN.com. Check the current betting splits data. Want to know where the money and bets are moving every NFL or bowl game? It's updated with DraftKings odds every 5 minutes. Find out where the public's betting based on the number of tickets and where the money doesn't match the public opinion. And we recently added soccer betting splits as well. Check it out. Every game, VSiN.com/splits.
So I don't think it's just me who noticed this last night after I should say at the conclusion of the Sugar Bowl, when as soon as it's over with, the broadcast crew goes down to the field and they're going to interview Caleb DeBoer immediately. 4 questions were asked. 4. Not a single question was asked about why did you approach the final drive like you did?
Right.
Why did you coach it like that? Why were you handing the ball off? Why were you not taking knees? Why did you not melt more clock? Why is Dylan Johnson potentially not going to be available in the national title game? Explain this, please, because you almost blew it.
No doubt. How about there's 40 seconds left. It's 3rd and 10 from Texas's 30-yard line. Why is there single coverage? Well, how do you let someone beat you deep in that situation?
Sure.
And that set them up at the 28-yard line.
Mm-hmm. You had 1,000. Why did you pass the ball earlier on in that quarter when
In the red zone on third down.
In the red zone,
yeah,
that's
let
correct.
Let them burn the other timeout.
Or Penix can maybe slide down there to burn some clock. Make them burn a timeout. Why did you not do that? Instead, we get, what was going on in your mind? And can you talk about? Boy, that was just such a poor quality job last night after the game. You have a guy as the head coach of a team who's about to just completely lose his mind in a national semifinal spot and botch it as bad as we've ever seen. And there's not one single question. And they had 4 questions to him and I think 4 to Penix. And it was not asked to Penix either. Instead, talk about what you were thinking when Texas had the ball. Thanks. Good job. F- across the board.
Yeah, this is relatively new as well, but every reporter, silent reporter, asked this. What's the message to the team? What was your message to the team?
Yeah, what were you saying to them as Texas was driving late?
Come on. Wild.
Yeah.
Now, how about what do you think of the overtime? And you can tweet and email too, ftm@vsin.com. I can't, maybe people thought that could be exciting, but I can't imagine deciding a trip to the national title game based on we could alternate 2-point tries there. You know, I can't stand the thing. It's made up. Let's put the ball at the 25-yard line and then let's have some fun here.
Yeah.
What is this?
Well,
Who came up with this? I don't know why people have a problem with the NFL. I mean, I think it's great. It's just, okay, you want the ball, stop me, and then if I go down the field and score, it's over. Or if I don't, you have an opportunity too. But it's like, because you're going to go, if Alabama scores there, then you have to go for 2 if you score again, and then the third overtime becomes we alternate 2-point attempts.
Yeah, it's a 2-point standoff is what it turns into.
Yeah,
it's a really silly rule. No,
yeah.
And this is a good tweet from Ian, and we're on X at VSiN Live at Mitch Moss Radio at Pauly Howard. Ian points out the Huskies pants crapping actually started with 12:39 to go in the fourth quarter, up 34-21. They had a chance to work some clock, possibly add to the lead. Instead, they go incomplete pass, defensive pass interference, incomplete pass, pass for no gain, punt. They used barely over a minute.
Yeah, but they weren't really doing much on the ground. I mean, the guy threw for 400 yards. That's just how it goes sometime.
So now Dylan Johnson, that did not look good after the game.
Well,
Carted off, he's in pain.
Yeah.
And by doing that, by not taking the knee, and by the way, they're going to go from shotgun. So snap it to Penix. Have him, you're at the 39-yard line of Texas. Have him back up and take a couple seconds off the clock, then take a knee.
That's right.
That's how you drain it, because guess what? They eventually punted from the 44, and after the 15-yard penalty, Texas got it at the 30. It's a 14-yard punt.
Yep.
Total nonsense.
Why run a play just for 5 seconds there? Just take the knee.
Yep.
I've seen one guy fumble it in my life. That was Phillip Rivers. Luke sent this in, our producer. Number of 3 overtime plus games since LSU A&M in the rule change in 2018. Yeah, that Penn State Illinois debacle, but multiple overtime games 2002 to 2023. I mean, it's just I don't get this. Once we get to a playoff, let's just play football. If it goes to overtime,
why don't we just play another quarter?
Yeah,
something. You can't have a 2-point standoff. It's totally Mickey Mouse.
Can you imagine? Oh man.
VSiN host Matt Youmans has a chance to win a lot of money this weekend. He'll explain how, and we'll get a strategy next on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
This week, new customers can bet $5 and pocket $150 in bonus bets instantly, and you get the NBA League Pass for the rest of the season. Unbelievable deal. Download the app. Use promo code VSiN when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
All right, VSiN host Matt Youmans joins the program now. His show is called VSiN Tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. He also writes up a lot of his best bets for the website, which is vsin.com. Matt, good to talk to you as always, man. I teased this before the break. You have a chance to make a lot of money this weekend out here in a contest. We always talk about Circa Survivor, but this is in Circa Millions. Can you explain to the audience the position that you're in going into Week 18?
Yeah, it's a pretty good position. Hopefully I don't blow it this week. But the Circa Millions quarterly contest pays out about $150,000 for first, and it's a pretty good pay scale. I've got two of the top three entries going into the final week, and the top entry is 17-2-1 against the spread the last 4 weeks. I think it went 4-1, 4-0-1, 5-0, and 4-1. I'd love to be able to do that one more time, but I got to tell you, with two of the top three, I've got to implement a little strategy this week too. And I mean, week 18 is always tricky anyway, but I'll probably talk with Frank Betty, Steve Fezzik, a couple guys like that this week, and see what the smart way is to do that in terms of strategy here with two of the top three. And right now, I have no idea what 5 teams I might use. So there's a lot of it's a unique challenge week 18 when you're handicapping these games.
How big is your lead?
Well, the first entry is only a half point ahead of second place.
Oh.
And then I think I've got 17.5. Second place is 17. And then my third place entry has 16.5.
You're 17-2-1, and you have a half game lead. Oh, yeah. My God. Yeah. Incredible.
Now, Matt, have you had a good season overall in the contest, or are you getting hot when it matters most here in one of the quarterlies?
I was just having a mediocre season. I was about 10 games over 500, I think, going into this stretch. And, you know, a lot of handicappers say this, and I hate to say it, but I was having a lot of crappy luck, let's put it that way, in September, October, November. And then, you know, when you put together a streak like this, you catch a few breaks late in games, and things start to go your way. So my luck has turned a little bit here in the last few weeks. Yeah.
Well, you know what? There is something to this, though, right? I mean, I talk about this all the time. You have to have the coin flip games go your direction, because how many games in the NFL are really like Baltimore and Miami, where if you have a bet on Baltimore, the game's over with, right away, and it's no sweat whatsoever. So many of these games come down, as we all know, to the final, 10 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah. And you're sweating these things out, right? Sweating bullets in a lot of these games. How many times do you have 5 plays in the NFL? Let's say you got 3 in the early games, and it looks like you're going to go 3-0, and 15 minutes later you're thinking you're going to be 0-3, and then you're going to be 1-2, and then 2. It's just it's crazy how it changes. I did have the Ravens. I was a rocking chair winner, but I had a dead loser with the Panthers, and the other 3 games. Well, two of the other 3 were coin flips that I won, and then the third game was the Packers, which was an easy winner. But, yeah, you're right. You got so many coin flip results, and you just have to have those go your way.
Your alias is Johnny Utah?
Yeah, you know who Johnny Utah was,
yeah, absolutely. Right? We talked about it, Point Break. It's a great movie. I didn't know you liked that movie. It's unbelievable.
I love that movie. Johnny Utah, former Ohio State quarterback, blew his knee out in the Rose Bowl, became an FBI agent.
That's right. Absolutely.
Matt, I watched the movie 6 weeks ago. It's 30-plus years old. Yeah. I'm telling you right now, it holds up.
Yeah.
Swayze's awesome. Yes.
That's great. Yeah, that is. Okay, so not necessarily you're going to go with these games, but 2 games you wanted to talk about, and I think they're intriguing, and we'll get Glenn Clark on coming up to get the Ravens' perspective. Let's start Saturday with the Steelers. They could make the playoffs, believe it or not, and Rudolph gets the start again. Ravens locked up the 1 seed, Pittsburgh laying 4 on the road.
Yeah, Rudolph played pretty well in the win at Seattle. I think the Steelers' rushing attack was a big difference in that game. They had over 200 yards rushing. Najee Harris had a big game. But, you go from Seattle to Baltimore, and is this number a little bit of an overreaction with the Steelers favored by 4? Now, Lamar Jackson's probably not going to play. John Harbaugh basically said he's not going to play, but it's a 19-day break. If he doesn't play in this game until the Ravens would play again, that's a lot. And that backfired on the Ravens the last time they went to the playoffs and set everybody out. But even if the Ravens sit out Jackson, I still don't think this is the type of team that's going to roll over and play dead. Tyler Huntley has been in big games before as a quarterback. And I'm leaning towards taking the Ravens in the 4 here, but this is something I got to evaluate later in the week as well.
Okay. Now, this is not a sexy game, but it's still, they all count. Could be Belichick's final game. Patriots have beat the Jets 15 in a row. They're laying 2.5. Look at the total. The total's 30.5 here.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be tough for me not to play the Patriots here. And what we think is going to be Belichick's final game as coach in New England. And what you just said, the Patriots beat the Jets 15 straight. And there's not many redeeming qualities about this Jets team at the current time. And I know the Patriots had a turnover-plagued, loss of Buffalo, but they still, I thought, played hard. You could still see the efforts there. And if you're laying 2.5, I think the Patriots are going to be hard for me to resist this week. But that's just another situation I'm going to have to monitor this week.
Okay, so now what do you make of the number here? The opener was 3.5 at Circa, 4.5 at DraftKings for the national title game next Monday. Michigan favored over Washington. Now up to 5 in some spots. Are you leaning Washington? What do you make of it next Monday?
You know, Wes Reynolds and I were talking about this on the show last night. We were guessing the line was going to be around 5.5 or 6 if it was Washington against Michigan. And I thought the Washington offensive line held up really well last night against the Texas defensive front, gave Michael Penix a lot of time to throw. How sharp was Penix last night? Yeah. You know, if he plays like that again, I think the Huskies are going to be tough to beat. But at the same time, I can't believe how brain-dead Kalen DeBoer, the coach, was at the end of the game last night by not taking knees and running the clock down. Instead, he runs a play. His star running back, Dylan Johnson, takes an injury. Just an unfortunate situation that backfired. So is Johnson going to be able to play next week? We don't know. I'm leaning towards taking the points with Washington, but, we got plenty of time here. I'm not going to bet this yet. This number might end up going to 6.
Sure. I couldn't believe what I was watching either. I mean, that was one of
right.
I mean, if they lose that game, it's an all-time gaffe. I'm sorry. It is. You can throw any game at me, and that's as bad as any of them.
Yep. I mean, that would have been an epic disaster if Washington lost. There's no way you can lose that game. Texas would have taken the ball over, had to go about 90 yards in less than 20 seconds. Yep. What are you doing running plays like that?
Awful. A couple of college basketball bets that you like tonight. There's a really good game, Mountain West Conference, right? Totally under the radar. Both teams are 12-1. A little bit of money coming in overnight on Colorado State as they're a small favorite against New Mexico. Do you agree with that money?
Yeah, at Circa right now, Colorado State's -3, and I like the Rams a little bit here. I don't love this play, but I like it. The Lobos have not been that sharp on the road. They had a close call at New Mexico State recently, and the Aggies are a bad team right now. So on the road, New Mexico has not been as strong. Now, I love their two guards, talking about Jamal Mashburn Jr. and Jalen House, but Colorado State counters with Isaiah Stevens, a senior guard, who's one of the best players, if not the best, in the Mountain West Conference. And that's a strong home court in Fort Collins at altitude. They also got the better coach here with Nico Medved. So I'm going to lay that short number with Colorado State.
Mm-hmm. You went to Purdue. You like betting Big Ten basketball. You have a good feel for this team. You've had a good feel over the years as well. They're laying 5.5 tonight on the road against Maryland. Terps are 9-4 on the year. Purdue only has one loss. Tricky spot tonight, you think, for your alma mater?
It's definitely a tricky spot. You know, when you're going to see a lot of these top 10 teams in true road games start to fall here a little bit. We've seen it with UConn and Marquette in the Big East. Now Purdue goes to play Maryland, which has won 19 straight home games, did not lose a home game in Big Ten play last season. And I think Maryland's going to be a tough out here. Jameer Young set out the last game with an injury, but I expect him to play. He scored 37 points against UCLA on the road on December 22nd. So I think Young's going to be back. You know, this number opened at 7.5, which I thought was high. I was able to get 6.5. I'd still play it here at plus 5.5. I think this is the type of game that goes to the wire. Purdue has won 5 really impressive neutral court games, but has yet to win a true road game. So I think this is going to be a challenge here tonight. I would take the points with the Terrapins as dogs.
We're rooting for you.
Yeah.
Tweet out your plays. And again, the alias is Johnny Utah. Give me 2, Utah. 2. So cash both entries. Get it done, sir. Thank you.
Let's hope so. You bet. Thanks,
Well
guys.
done. We did the show together on Christmas. You were out. He is the genuine article. Right after the show, right to Denny's.
Denny's downtown here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He goes to Denny's. He knows what's open on Christmas, what's closed, everything.
Oh,
yeah.
he
Did you see my sweater that day?
I did see it take off. Yeah. Was that the
Hans Gruber?
Hans Gruber.
Christmas doesn't
Christmas,
start.
Yeah.
Not Christmas until Hans Gruber falls from Nakatomi Plaza, and on the back it says Yippee-ki-yay. Can I do that? Can I wear that on like a Tuesday in June?
Probably. Give it a shot. Yeah.
Like my dad. This is my costume. Yeah. He would wear it on like in August. Half in the bag.
For Halloween.
Yeah, right.
Does it say?
Halloween.
Does it say? Like the censored version of Die Hard? Does it say Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon on the back?
I think it says MF. Get that right.
Rest assured, if Matt wins like the quarterly, he'll probably buy shots of Fire Jack for everybody at Oasis here in town.
How about he's 17-2-1? He's got a half game lead.
That's and the other
1,000 monkeys in a room.
There you go.
Oh God.